Maybe I'm going to change the intro music to be patriotic. Thank you, gentlemen, for the intro music. Welcome to this episode of the Driveway Podcast. When you're hearing this, July 4th, 4th of July is imminent. So what have I done? Matt, if you're watching on video.
Oh, I didn't even notice.
Big time. I changed one of our three lights to white. So we have red, white, and blue lights in the studio.
Happy birthday, America.
Feels
Dave,
like we're giving the State of the Union address here.
Dave, you can't see it, but trust me, it looks
I'm sure it's beautiful.
It looks good. So Dave in California, editor-in-chief of Autolist.com. How are you doing in your non-patriotically lit room?
I mean, I've got red light. Don't call me out like that, man. We've got red somewhere. I'm wearing white. I think my socks are blue.
I would have worn a shirt, but I don't own anything that I could wear that's red, white, and blue. I
didn't realize that this was, this is when this episode was going to be airing.
We're just having some fun. Matt,
happy birthday, America.
To my opposite side of the table, we have Deputy Editor Matt Smith. How are you today?
I'm feeling great. I'll tell you how I'm feeling. How old is the United States? I'm feeling not a day over 248 years old.
Almost 250. That's a big one.
Wow, 250 coming up.
A quarter millennia
you got
coming
plans?
up.
Yeah, if we make it that far.
Wait until the Driveway Podcast episode 150-ish will be.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Something like that. Hey, I did my part. We have red, white, and blue lights
Looks
here.
terrific.
Okay? You're welcome.
Thank you.
Why are we talking about patriotic colors? 4th of July. It's a celebratory time. We're talking about American-made cars. We're talking about cars.
The best.
Made in America.
Made in America.
That's right.
And I wanna get feedback from Dave. We're not talking about American brands. We're talking about American-made cars. Can you go into the stipulation or the differences between what that actually means?
Yeah, so I think this is something that most American consumers didn't pay any attention to until tariffs at the beginning of this year became the hot topic. And then suddenly it was like, oh, wow, many of the American brands do not make their cars in the U.S. They make them across the border in Canada or Mexico or both. Whereas many foreign brands have had American footprint. They've built their cars or assembled their cars in America. There are German brands that are net exporters out of the U.S., even though they are European brands. There are many of the Asian brands, the Japanese brands and the Korean brands that have significant manufacturing footprints in the U.S. So so this is a list not of the most American brand, but the most American-made vehicles, regardless of where their brand's headquarters, what country that might be in.
That's right, because if you're buying a car that's made in America, you're supporting American jobs. Maybe not manufacturing, yes, maybe not supplying of the materials, but
oftentimes yes, because look at the supplying. The suppliers are very close to the factories where the cars are for final assembly. So from sort of trickles down from the total car down to like little nuts and bolts, or may all be made or many of them made locally.
Yeah. So like a lot of consumers, they would look at like the Ford Bronco Sport. Like that's an American company. Ford employs probably more U.S.-based factory workers than any other automaker. But the Bronco Sport, surprise, made in Mexico. Whereas you can contrast that with something like Hyundai or Kia. Hyundai, that's a Korean brand. We like their cars, but those aren't made in America, are they? Wrong-o. Hyundai is they have made huge investments. So it really speaks to the value of the U.S. market to these automakers, the degree to which they're investing in American manufacturing for their plants. I was just Dave.
Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but this is something that they were doing long before Trump came into his second term. This was not a reaction to Trump's leaning into American manufacturing. This is something these plants take a decade plus and billions of dollars to plan and build and organize. These footprints were here and have been here for a long time. Honda and Toyota and Volkswagen and, like you said, Hyundai, Kia, BMW and Volvo and Mercedes-Benz. There are so many brands here that have been here for a long time.
Yeah, I was down in Georgia with Hyundai to test the Hyundai Ioniq 9 earlier this year, which definitely go to CarGurus, read the review. We should be getting a video live soon, if not already live. I know we're working quickly on putting that one together. But the Hyundai plant down in Georgia, it's like nothing I'd ever seen before.
Really?
So I want to say that the goal between like the General Assembly plant, in addition to the outlying like supplier buildings and companies that would be feeding into this plant, I think the total number of jobs was like 7,500 jobs in this corner of Georgia that's incredibly rural feeling. I mean, it's really transformative. And we're seeing it now, but we've been seeing it in Ohio, in Indiana, Alabama for years. So this
the
list,
Carolinas,
So this is not a list of, Ford, Stellantis, question mark there, General Motors, Tesla, Rivian. This is a list of what are the great cars made in the United States.
By segment. I love that it's not just,
Exactly.
a general list, but it's like, okay, what are you shopping for, consumer?
Exactly.
Yeah, so
Per segment, we've got
what we like to do is we have a list on CarGurus.com. We talk over that list. We use that list as a jumping off point for discussion. This article is called "The Best American Made Cars in 2025." So you can go to CarGurus.com, find that article, and follow along with us. I'm going to go through what the segments are, and then we'll talk about.
Can I just
go ahead, Dave.
start by saying a lot of times on the lists that we make, there's some that we like maybe we disagree with and stuff.
Yeah.
Or maybe someone's hearing this and be like, okay, so these are like, sure, these are the most American made vehicles in each of their segments, but like maybe you're compromising just to make it more American made. The cars in each of these segments that we have on this list are just fantastic cars in their own right.
Bangers.
So this is not, we're compromising in anything to get them to be American made. No, these are home runs in each of their segments. So I just want to sort of preface, no compromise. It's sort of, you can have your cake and eat it too. Get this car, and you're also supporting American manufacturing.
Yeah, regardless of the title of this article, this is a good list of cars.
These are good cars, man. Yeah.
So like I like to say, just to remind people, we have chapters on the YouTube. You can click ahead to whatever car you actually want to hear us talk about, if there's one in particular. Show notes on podcast platforms. But I'm going to go through the categories, and then we're going to dive deeper into each category and talk about which car is our pick for that category. So we're going from smallest to largest, roughly. Small car, mid-size car, sports car, small SUV, mid-size SUV, luxury SUV, EV. Usually we start with EVs. This time it's buried in the middle. Luxury electric EV, small pickup, and large pickup. So that's going to be the segments we're going to talk about. Largely, we're going to pick one car per segment, but, we might bring in some others if some exist. Should we just jump in? Should we dive in?
Let's do it.
Okay, we're going to start with the small car. And I like, this is a good place to start because there's an interesting tidbit as to why one is on this list and why one isn't. The Honda Civic hatchback.
Yeah.
Matt, go in, tell me why it's the hatchback in particular.
So now this may come as a surprise. By and large, automakers are massive multinational corporations that have manufacturing facilities and product lines in markets all over the world. And as such, when it comes to deciding on the best American-made cars, the details matter.
They matter.
So there is, if you're shopping for a car and you're not 100% sure where it's made, it's called a Monroney sticker, a window sticker. They put it on every new car in America. It's mandated by law. And on that sticker, it will say where the final assembly is. Now, if you look at our choice for the small car, the Honda Civic hatchback, you are going to see that it was made in Greensburg, Indiana. But if you were to look
That's in America.
That is in America. Indiana. It's the heartland of the country right there. A lot of farms. A lot of corn, a lot of windmills. I've driven from Chicago to Indianapolis. And let me tell you, it's about what you'd expect. But lovely.
Good people there, though.
Lovely people. Well,
That's lovely.
I'll be honest, as a Patriots fan, I found the Colts fans to be...
Oh, well, you're the enemy.
They were
you're the problem there.
surprisingly hostile. I went in there thinking, like, these are the nicest people, those Midwestern sensibilities. They're nice people.
You're a Patriots fan. I have no sympathy for you.
Yeah, okay, mister. I'm from New England, and I should root for the Dodgers.
I'm a Bills fan because I grew up in upstate New York. Wow. Bills fans would be Bills fans would be welcomed more than Patriots fans everywhere.
As you can tell, Dave and I are
Kansas
very
City.
close friends. I grew up in upstate
put
New
on
York,
airs.
and I root for the Patriots because I'm a good person, and my entire family is from New England. But in Indianapolis, I had the zip up hoodie on and my Tom Brady, GOAT.
Sure. I've heard of
his
him.
jersey on underneath. And I unzipped the sweatshirt when I was hanging out with my friends' friends.
Yeah.
They're all Colts fans, and they just looked at me. They were like, "Get the hell out!"
Good.
It was like
Was it like a record scratch?
They
Like-
were so nice that
Yeah.
I unzipped the sweatshirt, and all of a sudden they hated me. But anyways, the Honda Civic hatchback. We're on one now, folks. That is made in Greensburg, Indiana.
Yeah.
The Honda Civic sedan, Alistair, Ontario, which is in Canada.
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 So the details do matter. The Honda Civic, the Honda Civic sedan would not qualify for this list, but the hatchback, luckily, I think it's better looking.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's just as good a driver. Terrific vehicle. And if you're somebody who wants something that is affordable, practical, good in the city, but not just terrible on the highway, it's well made. It's good noise, vibration, harshness, insulation. It's comfortable. Really terrific car.
Yeah.
No matter what your use case is. But frankly,
And in this
particularly
era
if you
of-
need a park.
In this era, I think everyone's like, oh, I need an SUV. I need a crossover for all this, this lifestyle I lead, right? All this stuff I'm hauling around. Hatchbacks are really useful, right? It's a lower SUV that's more fun to drive and gets better fuel economy. You've got the rear seats you can fold down. And the Civic, like I said when I started this, there's no compromises. This is not like, this is one of the best cars in the entire segment, the Civic is. So it's a win-win-win. That's a delightful car.
Yeah, I think it's been maybe 5 episodes in a row that the Civic and Civic hatchback has come up in some way or another because we all love it and we all think it's great. I do have a question, and if either of you don't feel comfortable answering it, just say that because things are changing. Things are wild. So, Matt, the hatchback is made in the USA.
Yep.
The sedan is made in Canada.
Yep.
With the recent form of auto tariffs, does that mean that the sedan, granted, I think Honda would package it so that it doesn't really affect the consumer, obviously, but would Honda pay more or the consumer pay more for a sedan than a hatchback?
Well, the hatchback there's a price premium on it. I will say everything's going to be affected by these tariffs because cars are not made entirely in one country. The supply chains are extremely complicated. I can't answer definitively. You're going to pay more for a sedan now than you would for a hatchback. But if the question is where is it made, then yes, you're going to
it's possible.
You're going to suffer more potential tariff impact on the sedan because it's not assembled in the US.
And that's also for Honda to decide how they structure their pricing to factor that kind of stuff in.
That's right. A lot of automakers, as the year continues to unfold, are announcing that they're going to protect their prices.
Sure.
For now, because I think they're
yes.
seeing this as potentially a limited duration of tariffs, and they're hoping to withstand it. This is also a price-sensitive vehicle, right? This is not a $90,000 truck where if there is a margin, some increases in tariff pricing, you can kind of, you're eating a little more into your profit margin, but they're still fat and happy because trucks make a lot of money for automakers.
Yeah.
This is one where it's you start eating into the margins and Honda's going to feel it. So, or the consumers are going to feel it because they're price conscious. So, yeah, I mean, in theory, sure, Elliot, this would make it more vulnerable, make a sedan more vulnerable. But that's why we have the hatchback on the list.
Well, and as we should say, all of this is subject to change.
It will probably have changed 3 times between now when we're recording this and when this episode airs.
We'll see. And just a final note, probably on the hatchback, it's in the article here, so I feel like it's worth mentioning. The Type R, not made in the USA. That one's made in Japan.
Yeah.
So the Civic, it's a global vehicle.
Yeah.
Honda's a global company. So
they make great stuff in Japan.
you know what? Also in Indiana, right?
Not Japan.
Not
Japan's not in Indiana.
no.
Japan, Indiana.
It's the Japan of the
also
Midwest.
make great stuff in Indiana.
You know how in New York or all over the country, frankly, you have Naples, Florida.
Yeah.
Troy, New York. You think there's a Tokyo, Indiana? Let's see.
That one, let me know.
We'll
if
get back
you
to
find
that
it.
one. Yeah. Are we?
So we're gonna keep going on the list.
I'm not seeing a
Tokyo, Indiana.
Yeah, maybe Kyoto.
Kyoto. That's a global name. we're going to continue on. And funny enough, the Honda Accord is our selection for the mid-size car. So one class up, the Honda Accord. Matt, you are an owner of an Accord, not the current generation, the previous gen. It is built in Marysville, Ohio.
Yeah.
Is there any sort of similar trim segment differentiation on the Accord, or all the Accords built there? Do we have to watch out for any?
To the best of my knowledge,
Okay.
all U.S. market Accords are built in Marysville, Ohio. It's worth noting that, Marysville is like Honda City, USA.
Okay.
They've been building cars in
Literally.
Marysville for a very long time. And then like the Civic, the Accord, it's the sedan for anyone. It's spacious. It's a great to drive car. I think they look really good.
Yeah.
If you need something that's cost effective, sedans, you can still get a better deal on those than you can on most comparable crossovers. If you looked at a mid-size sedan versus a mid-size crossover, and I think they definitely drive better. You can't go wrong with the Honda Accord. It's a familiar name. It's been around for a long time, but it's been around for a long time for a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a delightful car. It's one of these have your cake and eat it too. It has all the space and safety features and efficiency and comfort, but it's got it's kind of nice to drive too. It's not a sports car, right? But it's going to feel a little more engaging than maybe a Hyundai Sonata or a Toyota Camry, right? So it's like it's all things to all people. The Accord it's a delight. It would be the car I would recommend in this segment, no matter where it's made. But the fact that it's made here is just, it's gravy.
That's a good note.
Well, and the Camry, which you brought up, also made in, I think the Camry's made in Indiana as well.
Or Kentucky.
And like there's
It might be Kentucky.
there's nothing bad to say about the Camry. We put the Accord on this list for really practical reasons. It's a little larger, better back seat space, better trunk space. I think it drives a little bit better, but I know like the Camry for a while, I think you still can get the V6 in it. Actually, no, the new Camry's all hybrid.
All hybrid. So there is no
And the Camry does offer all-wheel drive for the people
true.
who.
Yeah.
But look, the Accord's front-wheel drive. If you live in inclement weather, just get really good snow tires, right, and it'll largely do what you need it to do.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and here in Boston, famous for our winter weather, we haven't had consistent snow on the ground in years. So
That's true.
There you go.
Wait a few more years. None of us will need
Global
all-wheel
warming.
drive.
Yeah.
Dave, I'm going to throw this one to you because I know you've spent more time in them than either Matt or I. But the
Jail?
next, our
This is
selection
because of his jean shorts and his New Balance sneakers, right?
there's an ageism
I
comment
got a
in there.
brisket out front. I'm smoking right now. Yep.
The sports car category, we have the Chevy Corvette Stingray.
Corvette.
Dave, what do you think about this? How does that hit you?
Well, first of all, I don't know what other sports cars are made in America.
Okay.
Like sports cars, not muscle cars. So it may just be on this list for lack of any other options. But the Corvette is, they're dollar for dollar. There is no better sports car at any price in any horsepower level ever. The fact that you can, for like, what, $60,000 for like a base model, get a mid-engine car that does what V8 that does what this car can do. And I know like the image is like, like you were saying,
Jean shorts and New Balances.
yeah. I still think it's phenomenal. There's so much character, so much it's also America's birthday is in 2 days. This is like, there's no more like iconic American sports car than the Corvette. It's been that way for 70 years now, 60 years. So, I'm a big fan.
Yeah. Our article states that the Ford Mustang Dark Horse, at least, is built in Detroit. So that's at least one other sports car.
Yeah, it's like sports car. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's more of a muscle car. I don't know,
Sure.
but like
broad
the Corvette's
definition.
fantastic.
And
You'll see how this one ages. The styling. It is kind of sometimes tricky to get a mid-engine car proportions right. I don't always love like the rear 3/4 kind of angle of the Corvette, but if you can get past that,
It's a head turner.
Well, and
for better or worse. Yeah,
I think Dave nailed it on his head, where it's like, if you're buying a sports car for performance, there's no better dollar for dollar performance car. Now, Dave, you asked earlier on in this segment, like what are the other sports cars, and I'm playing
Yeah.
fire here because I'm doing live
Fast and
research.
loose.
Cadillac CT4 and CT5V Blackwings. I think you can put that in that area, and those are terrific performers as well.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
What I didn't realize I'm like starting to get a little anxious. I'm gonna have to double check on the Civic Type R. Apparently, the Acura Integra Type S is also built in Marysville, Ohio. So the Civic Type R built in Japan, but the Acura Integra Type S, which is a very, very similar vehicle, is made in the U.S. and is another terrific sports car. Although
That's
I
probably
imagine if
because
Natalie was
this
here,
is-
she'd probably argue it's not a sports car because it's front-wheel drive base. It has 4 doors, but a terrific
I will say
car
the
either way.
Acura is probably built here because this is the only market they would sell it in, whereas the Civic
you
Type
go.
R, that's global. They built it back in Japan.
That's why he's on the pod, everybody. That's
There
why
you
he's
go.
here.
Boom.
We got a table full of experts here.
I should just leave now.
We
Now that
complement each other.
Yeah.
I quit while I'm ahead.
Yeah. What I don't know, he knows. What he
Yeah.
doesn't know, no one knows.
And I'm just here.
And what everyone knows, we don't know.
Yeah, and I don't know if I said this. The Corvette built in Bowling Green, Indiana. So there you go.
And
I
there's a
believe they have
Corvette museum
yeah,
there
they
that you can go see.
Well, there was a Corvette museum.
It fell into a sinkhole a couple years ago.
We should
They've
check in
rebuilt
on
it.
that.
They dug them back out. It's still there.
It's back up and running.
It's back up and
That was quite a few years ago.
I say
now.
there's a story there.
Yeah.
Oh, there was. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was 10 plus years ago now. But no, the Corvette's fantastic. Another thing I love, they make a convertible version, but you kind of don't need to because for time memoriam, Corvettes have had the roof panels that you can remove. So you get like an open air kind of Targa style car, 60 grand, V8. Yeah.
Do either of you
fun
see a
car.
Corvette in your extended future? Would that be
Oh,
on, like is that
at
on
the
a
top
list
of my
like,
bucket list I've like to own some classic cars in the future. At the top of my bucket list is a Corvette C3 from the early era of the C3. So this is like 67 to like 72 before they started getting sort of weakened for emissions reasons at the time. I will own one of those one day.
Okay.
Full stop.
Okay.
Yes. Because they're reasonably affordable for a classic car. They've aged. They're the ones with like the really curved lines on them. They're like seductive. They're like, oh, I love those. To me, those cars are chef's kiss, and they're approachable. You can buy them for reasonable money.
Well, so
Have a lot of fun.
I want to push you a little bit. When you say reasonable, what does that mean? Like, what's the broad definition of how much roughly that would be?
25 to 30 grand will get you a
Okay.
nicely preserved one.
Okay.
You could spend up to. I mean, you can spend. There are
You can spend whatever
low
you want.
volume versions. Yeah, you could spend $150,000, $200,000 on one, but you may not want to drive it. No, 30 grand will get you one.
Okay.
And they're holding their value. And yeah, like I said, you could get a convertible, but you don't have to.
Really
and
cool.
They're cool.
Really cool. All right, keeping us rolling along. And Matt, I wonder if we're showing some bias here. Small SUV category. What do we have here?
We've got another Honda.
Another Honda.
Listen, it's not.
We love Honda.
It's not on us if Honda makes really good cars, and they make a lot of them in the U.S. Now the
And they have for a long time.
That's right.
30 years plus. Yeah.
The CRV is kind of interesting because again, it's all about the details. Check those window stickers. They build the CRV in East Liberty, Ohio, Greensburg, Indiana, and Alliston, Ontario.
Okay.
So
Another one of those.
it depends a little bit on powertrain. There's probably different trim lineup, but check that final assembly on the CRV.
If there's a
window
hockey
sticker.
stick in the back of the truck, back of the car,
Yeah,
then
those
that's
are the Canadian ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just that's easy way to check.
And then alongside, I think we talked about this on an earlier episode, unless it was this one, and I'm just losing my mind. But Honda also makes a quadruplet of SUVs or SUV
quartet?
adjacent vehicles. A
I
quartet.
think you would call it.
Yeah, you've got the Pilot, the Passport, the Ridgeline, which is a pickup truck, and the Odyssey minivan are made just down the road in Lincoln, Alabama as well. So Honda is making a ton of vehicles out there. But the CRV, this is all about young family, needs a little extra space, doesn't need a third row yet. They have a gas engine one, which is kind of lower down the trim level. And then if you climb up that trim level, you're going to get the hybrid engine. Terrific driving cars, really capable, practical vehicles. My mother drives a CRV.
Oh.
She loves it.
I feel like they punch above their weight too. Like,
Oh, yeah.
We don't give them credit. You get in it and you're like, this feels kind of like a luxury car. Like the build quality, I think the styling is really nice. It looks, the rear end of the current CRV looks identical to one of the BMW, like it's like the X1, like the taillights and everything. And I mean that as a compliment.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're great cars.
And I feel like this current generation of CRV is the best looking SUV Honda has ever made.
Yeah.
It's a terrifically stylish. It does have kind of like sort of German styling to it. I think the previous gen, it's a little rounder, a little frumpier. I wasn't super into it, but this one, we're going to see more of the new RAV4 as the summer unfolds. But
which I don't my early impressions are it's too Subaru-ish. The new RAV4 is in its styling execution, whereas the refinement here on this CRV, it's fantastic.
The previous gen RAV4, I was comfortable. I know, Elliot, you disagree. I was comfortable saying that's the standard for styling in the compact crossover market.
I like the exterior. It was the interior that I really didn't vibe with.
The
RAV4.
I agree.
The current gen, when the new CRV launched, about halfway through that previous gen RAV4, God, this is very confusing to speak through. When the new CRV launched, it immediately took the styling crown for me. I think this is a really good looking car. And the interior, Dave, to your point, it's also good. It's giving you the level of practicality that you want out of a compact crossover. And just knowing that there's multiple powertrain options only makes it more appealing.
Yeah, I feel like I say it on most episodes. I love Honda interior styling. I think it punches above its weight. It looks good. It's simple. It's clean. It's not like in your face, flashy, really tech forward, but it's just simple and clean.
Yeah.
And that's all you need sometimes. It really works.
It's all you need. It's all you need in life.
Yeah.
Simplicity and cleanliness.
So you have 5 seats in a CRV. Maybe it's before you have kids, or you have 1 or 2 kids.
Or after you have kids, empty nesters.
Or yeah, absolutely. But what if you have
the boomers?
What if you have a 3rd kid? Or what if you just want some more space and
Or
2
a
kids?
4th.
What if you have a dog? What if you need a little bit more space? Where can you go? You go to a midsize SUV.
Yeah, I mean, don't look at me. I have 1 child and a cat. So
True. So your Accord and your Forester are working just fine, but you need a little bit more. Top of most people's list, at least most of them. You got the Kia Telluride.
What? But that's a Korean car.
That's a Korean car. Where is the Kia Telluride built? Where is it manufactured?
Bueller.
Georgia.
Anyone?
That'd be West Point, Georgia.
West Point, Georgia.
That's right. Worth noting, not at the same factory that Hyundai is building the EV5 and the Ioniq 9. That means that Kia and Hyundai, multiple investments in the state of Georgia.
Oh, so those are multiple factories within Georgia. Okay.
Yeah.
So do automakers tend to pick a state and kind of like Kia seems like Georgia is their place? Is it?
I mean, it can help because, politically, if you have established goodwill and the ins and outs of lawmakers,
state
and
government,
you've got the connection, the lobbying. Like it makes it easier once you have one plant. It makes it more likely that they would consider that as a location for the next plant, or I'm sure there are all kinds of tax incentives that they're all working in. Yeah. It's not an accident.
Sure. Okay.
And from a supplier standpoint too, look, if you're trying to attract suppliers who are building the little parts for these cars, you can say like, hey, you could put your supply plant, in between this one location and this other location and sort of double your business. So like logistically, it makes a lot of sense. So
the Telluride, whether this list was American made or American built cars or not, that's the best one. Telluride's on the list. There's no better. Sorry, I keep cutting you off. No, it's okay. It's okay. Go for it. There's nothing better. I mean, you want a true 3-row crossover SUV without going up to something like a Tahoe or an Expedition. Right. You're looking at it. That's it. Yeah. No one does it better. And at least this one, it's a naturally aspirated V6. That's all it has. Yeah. The 26 Telluride, we assume maybe some changes coming down the road to match the 26 Palisade, but currently V6. Yeah. Some people love that V6. They don't want to see a Turbo 4 hybrid. Well, hop in the time machine, go back 10 years. If you had, what were we saying? You got 3 kids? Who has 3 as a third child? who would make the decision? Just kidding. We love third children here. But if you had 3 kids or a dog or 2 dogs or whatever, you needed a minivan, or you had to spend out the nose for a vehicle like the Tahoe, which gave you the space for those extra kids, but also gave you a level of capability from a towing and payload capacity. I guess payload not so much because it's not a pickup truck, but a towing capacity that you might not need.
You know, it was
Well,
like
and fuel economy too. Oh my gosh, you got a V8. You
yeah.
don't need a V8.
It was so incredibly thirsty. But it's like the Tahoe and the Suburban, they still make sense for a buyer who's got a whole mess of kids and a boat. But if you've got the kids and you don't have the boat, the Telluride is, I agree with Dave, you know, it's the cream of the crop when it comes to true mid-size crossovers that can fit that third row in there.
I will say, you guys keep calling it midsize. I would almost call it full size. Almost. It's like midsize to me seems like
it's like
different. Like,
it's like
this is a big
midsize
car.
plus.
Yeah, it's a bigger than average midsize.
Right.
But
Like,
and I mean that as a
something
compliment.
else.
The Toyota Highlander or the Mazda CX-90, you know, these are good examples of 3-row midsize crossovers, but they're smaller.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got
that's
the
why
Toyota
Toyota
Grand
has
Highlander.
the Grand
But like the
Highlander.
Toyota Grand Highlander is not the same size as the Toyota Sequoia. I'd put the Sequoia as a full size. The Grand Highlander is kind of like the in-betweener, just like the Telluride, the Palisade, where honestly, we're seeing more and more of this, which shows that there's an enormous demand from parents, I'm sure, predominantly, who are saying, I need something bigger than a Highlander, but I don't have a boat. I'm not moving my horses. I just need to move the kids.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
a
that's a
previous
great car.
episode of this podcast, it was best 3-row SUVs or best 7-seat SUVs, excuse me, and your choice was the Telluride, regardless of any metric of where it was built. So we're Telluride fans on here,
for sure.
So that's Kia. Next, we're gonna go up to a brand we haven't seen yet on the list. We're talking about luxury
And I think
SUVs.
it's a surprise. I think a lot of people are like, oh,
Yeah.
Who knew?
So you had a CRV. That's what we had for the regular five person 2-row SUV. What if you want to go luxury? Where are you looking? Surprise, BMW. BMW. The X5 is our pick for the luxury SUV.
Yeah. Spartanburg, South Carolina. Famously known as Bavaria of the South.
I want to ask if that's true, but I
their
don't want to
currywurst is the worst.
It is. It is not true.
Oh, I want that to be true.
Could be. You never know.
I didn't know if like
We have a
Spartanburg was
podcast.
like
We could make
BMW
it
city.
true.
The X5, a friend of mine leased an X5, I think 3 times in a row. Love the X5.
Terrific car.
Oh, they're fantastic.
Yeah, fantastic. I've never driven one. Have you? Either of you?
What?
No. I've been in it. I've been in her as X5. I have not driven it though.
I'm not 100% certain when the current generation is launched.
It's been around a while. It's
I've driven
long in
the
the tooth.
X5. I'm not sure I've driven this generation.
You probably have. This one's been around for a while. They've just refreshed it. I think there's a new one coming in another year or two. It's delightful. And this is, again, so many cars on this list. They're not the compromise. They're not on this list just because they're American made. They just happen to be American made for this list. But this is an exquisite, drives nice, super luxurious. They haven't quite gone into the latest BMW. Some of the styling gets a little weird. The 7 Series sedan, the new X3. I don't love the interior where there's like not a single button anywhere. This still, as sort of this generation of X5, fantastic vehicle that just happens to be made in South Carolina. And this is what I was talking about. I think it's like BMW is a net exporter globally of like they make the X5s here in the US. I think Mercedes is with some of their SUVs.
The
and they
Mercedes
export
is
them.
the GLE and the GLS are in Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
They ship them out. Look, if you are considering the Mercedes versus this, I don't think there's a bad choice. I think it's more of which you identify with and like, but fantastic vehicles.
Yeah. One of the features I've always liked about the X5 is the tailgate. So instead of being like a standard lift gate like you get on basically every other SUV, it's a split tailgate. Nice. So the bottom third or so, maybe bottom quarter, folds down. It's like so many people buy their SUV or their crossover and they're envisioning this future of like backing it up to the soccer field and like sitting on the tailgate. This is a very comfortable tailgate to sit on.
There you go.
Yeah.
Tailgate approved.
Fantastic. That's the BMW X5.
We should do an episode just on the top 10 best tailgates. And instead of being like, you got to go to the Arrowhead Stadium for the best ribs, we should just be like, oh, I really like the new Expedition.
That works. That works for me.
Also a split tailgate.
It is
Fantastic.
The new Expedition is. Yep.
Today I learned.
Yeah,
2025.
I had no idea. Check it out.
Review is up on CarGurus.
There you go. You took it right out of my mouth.
I probably didn't take photos of the tailgate though, knowing me.
We are trucking right along, not a truck, should have said moving right along, to the EV section. And another foreign brand, Hyundai, shows up on this list with the Ioniq 5, which is, I still think, one of the best looking in this class. I love the styling of the Ioniq 5.
Well, it is, except for the picture we have up now.
Well, it's the newer.
It's the new weird one. I don't like the new weird one.
It's the rugged EV.
It seems like an odd thing, although a niche may be waiting to be filled is the rugged off-roading EV, the XRT with the red tow hooks.
Yeah, it's working for Rivian.
Yeah, I don't.
In
love
theory, I don't mind it. I get like that's people want sort of this new kind of it sits up taller and it's kind of maybe go off road, but it's also electric. Just the execution that Hyundai did, like the front bumper is this flat plastic. It looks like you went to the auto body shop to get your Hyundai fixed and they ran out of paint when they were trying to fix your bumper, and then they gave it to you and you're like, oh, it looks but
instead of
this
putting
is a fantastic
a skid plate on there or like giving it a little extra lift, they just put the front bumper and the rear bumper. They're like, well, these will be cheap to replace.
It's like, but anyway, fantastic EV. I do want to point out that also American made are the Tesla Model Y, which is made in California, and then the Volkswagen ID4 built in Tennessee. So you do have options if you're not feeling this Hyundai for whatever reason. You should. Fantastic EV, but there are some other ones as well. The Ioniq 5 is funny because like you look at it and it's like this hatchback, and we as Americans perceive hatchbacks as being small, and then you get in the Ioniq 5 and you're like, oh, this is a big car in a good way.
Way bigger than
spacious.
I think the wheelbase on the Ioniq 5 is longer than on the Palisade. I believe we're going to look it up right now.
Matt's going to look it up.
Ioniq 5.
What I like about the Ioniq is there's an Ioniq for whatever you're looking for. You want a regular Ioniq for commuting, for living your daily life, you got it. You want a super fast, crazy speedster, you got the 5N, and now you have, if you want to go off road with your Ioniq, you got the XRT.
Yeah. So the Ioniq 5's wheelbase 118.1 inches versus 114.2 on the Palisade.
Wow.
And what that means for those shopping at home
Tell me.
is that
why do we care?
From an interior space, the further you push away those wheels, one, it does wonders for just ride smoothness, comfort, but it also means that you're not wasting any of that space. You're able to push the front of the cabin forward. You can stretch the tailgate further back. You're not going to have as much like mechanicals intruding on the interior. That's another benefit of the Ioniq 5's EV platform. You get in there, the floor is as flat as your living room.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal. And to your point, you could have put this on the list of, the 10 best EVs built anywhere.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's built down in Georgia, this is actually the plant that I visited earlier this year. They call it the Meta plant. It's massive. It's probably the biggest building I've ever been in that wasn't, many stories tall.
Sure.
It's huge. It's also incredibly clean, very, very bright. The floors are almost white. Like everything, it's almost like you're in an Apple store. It's quiet. There's a lot of robotics going on in there.
Sure.
They also, I said earlier, they're employing, all told, on that footprint, they're employing close to 7,500 people. They put the brake areas for the employees like right next to the line, and they're able to do that because it's so quiet. They don't have to take off their ear protection. I don't even think they have to wear ear protection in this factory, and it means that like if you're working on a general assembly line for an automaker, and that you've got a 15-minute break every few hours. If it takes you 5 minutes to walk to the break area, then you don't have a 15-minute break. You have a 5-minute break because you spend 10 minutes commuting to the break area. Yeah. They put the break areas right next to the line, and at first I was like, oh, great, yeah, so they never actually leave their job. But in reality, they're really maximizing the opportunity to blow off some steam, take a rest from what is undoubtedly very monotonous work. So really, really cool factory. I think they're going to have public tours open in the future. Okay. They haven't lined all that stuff up yet. It's still very much in development. Gotcha. But if anybody's interested in the manufacturing process, these are some of the coolest kind of like system operational facilities you can imagine. And a lot of them offer, public access, public tours, see how the mechanical sausage is made.
Nice.
Wow. Very cool. Very
All right.
cool.
Thanks, Matt.
Okay.
I'm a nerd.
No, that was fantastic.
Manufacturing Matt.
Yeah.
And you've seen you visited Kia's factory in Seoul, right? Was that for a factory tour?
I didn't see the
Not a
factory
factory?
in Seoul.
Okay.
I went to the Ford truck plant in Kentucky shortly before going to the Hyundai factory.
Okay.
And also like a almost unfathomable scale of operational order because they've got multiple vehicles running on these same lines. Like they'll do the Navigator and the Expedition and one version of I think the F-250 all on the same line. So like they have to have everything coming in at the right time.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
the
nightmare.
workers need to know like what goes where. It's truly astonishing.
Wow. That's awesome. Well, thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
Really cool look.
Cool. Should we talk about cars made in America now?
Yeah, let's go back to cars. Now that
The next category we have is luxury EVs, right? So we did the Hyundai Ioniq 5 is our, I guess, standard EV. Next up, we have the luxury. So on our list, we have the Rivian, which is it's both an American company and it's built in America. So this is full patriotic choice.
In
right?
Normal, Illinois.
Normal, Illinois.
Illinois.
I'm hearing a lot of names of towns for the first time. I've never heard Normal before. That's kind of a fun
It's pretty
town
normal.
name. Yeah.
It's pretty normal.
Have you
there.
been there?
No, I have not.
Okay.
I'd love to. RJ,
it'd be fun if you lived in like the next town over, and you're like, "Where do you live?" And
abnormal.
you're like, and you'd be like, "It's not normal."
Yes.
Clever.
Sorry.
That's going to be a short.
Dad joke.
typical
I need a
Illinois.
rim shot.
Dave.
I will say, so this was a Mitsubishi plant, I think.
Oh,
that
interesting.
Rivian bought. Much like Tesla when they got their start in California, the Fremont plant was a joint Toyota GM venture that then they bought. Building plants costs billions and billions of dollars. So any startup or any automaker that can buy one that was already in use by another automaker.
You said billions with a B?
With a B.
With a
yeah.
B. B is in boy.
So
boy.
Rivian was very smart in identifying this, and I mean, look, Rivians are, man, that I can't think of another. If you gave me a blank check and said go buy an EV, well, actually,
You're going Rivian?
actually, if it's blank check, it might be like the
danger.
Lucid Sapphire crazy car, but this would be the one. Daily driver, 3 rows of seats, all kinds of range, safe. I'm a huge fan of Rivians.
Yeah. I feel like
no matter where they're made.
Rivian makes good cars for people who really like to personalize their experience in the vehicle. So like one of the challenges as people who test vehicles every week is that we're constantly getting in a different car. So the car's not set up for us.
Yeah.
And I did have, when I drove the R1S earlier this year, maybe it was the end of last year, I did have to like spend quite a bit of time setting everything to my specification.
Yeah.
But once I had it, it was like this car was my car. And then, of course, I had to give it back on Tuesday, which is always the bummer about these situations. I really like the Rivian
they're great.
R1S. I would call out, at first I was a little turned off. It's not the most efficient vehicle. It's a big 3-row
It's
SUV.
a big boy. Yeah.
But it has a massive battery pack. So
Yeah.
I think of the Rivian as akin to like a Cadillac Escalade, maybe with more of an off-road bent to it. It's not an EV with the appeal of efficiency or low cost of ownership or whatnot. It will go over 400 miles, and that's what you should be. You should be valuing the range, not the cost of ownership.
Some trims will go, or some
Right.
build
Yeah.
configurations.
Some
The base model doesn't get that.
It
Listed
maxes
here,
out over 400.
It goes from 258, I assume, for the base of the base, and up to 410.
Yeah.
But also what
phenomenal.
it can do, it offers up to 1,025 horsepower.
Yeah.
Which is,
Why not?
that's a stupid number.
I mean,
1,000 horsepower.
unnecessary? Yes.
Yeah.
Dangerous? Absolutely.
I mean-
stupid is as does.
Stupid in a good way. You know how you say
When you're
some things are
late for
bad.
soccer practice, you need 1,000 horsepower to get you there on time.
That's right. Yeah.
That's
Very-
the
very
quad.
logical.
That's the quad. So each wheel has its own motor. Right?
Yeah. The quad motor.
What a wild.
And that's also, but that's like, is that like 90? That's expensive.
It's very expensive. Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
But no,
blank
the
check.
base
I mean,
model, the base model R1T and R1S are phenomenal on their
Yeah.
own. I don't want people to think, you got to spend all the money. I mean, they're still expensive. We're still talking like what, a $60,000-$70,000 base model. But for a luxury 3-row EV, yeah, they're great.
Yeah, I mean, we all are. But right now, Rivian just has the R1S and R1T. I'm excited for the next
R2
models.
Yeah,
in
R2,
Rivian's lineup.
R3.
Yeah. They look
R3X.
super compelling. I wonder where the pricing is going to land on those.
That's the big question.
But really,
I mean, it's gonna have to be in the 40s for the R2.
Yeah.
Just by nature of what it wants to compete with. Yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah,
for sure.
Well, I'm excited to see those. I'm a big fan of Rivian styling. I love no matter where you see those.
It's taken me a while. I didn't love it.
Yeah.
It seems a little. Is it Wally? What's the?
I like when an OEM does something fresh, even if it doesn't always work. I like the good old college try.
Well, you
I think it was like
loved the Cybertruck when it debuted.
Well, Matt, we all make mistakes. Okay, we were all young.
Hey, no. Look, I will defend. I love the fact that the Cybertruck exists. I like that there is something different, and it looks like that. And it's shaking things up, and they took a bold step. I think it's more of the people who are driving a Cybertruck.
That arguably the spiciest take you could take from a brand perspective.
But I'm glad it exists.
The product, it's the people.
I wouldn't buy one, but I'm glad it exists from a styling standpoint. The Rivian, we were talking about earlier on a different episode, how certain brands or certain models of vehicles come out and you don't love the styling, but then you see them so often that it sort of beats you into submission, and you're like, all right, the Rivian, that's sort of what happened to me. Is like here in Southern California, you shake a tree and a couple of Rivian are going to fall out of it. I've gotten used to it now. I don't hate it, but when they first came out, I was like,
CarGurus headquarters is on top of a Rivian dealership. Yeah, we see them every time we come and go from the office.
It's funny you mentioned the recency, or not recency bias, but how often you see something. I did like the Cybertruck when it was first announced.
I just wish it was the size of like a Frontier.
Well, the more I see them, the less I like them.
Yeah,
it's kind of done the opposite for me.
Although, I like that they exist.
Dave, like you said, I like when a brand takes chances. I like something different. It looks like its own thing. I just don't like the way it looks, if that makes sense.
Sure.
And speaking of trucks, we have 2 categories left.
Yeah,
and they are trucks. It is we can lump them together. It's small pickup truck and large pickup truck.
Now these ones are definitely going to be American companies, right? Because this is pickup trucks. This is the land of the truck.
Yeah, exactly. We love our trucks here.
Yeah.
But wait,
what?
The small pickup truck choice. It's the Hyundai Santa Cruz. What do we think about that?
I mean, well, Santa Cruz that's in the U.S.
That's
this is California, right? Santa Cruz. Yeah. Anyways, the Santa Cruz, I like to think of this as like, this is the perfect gardening vehicle.
Where is it built?
You know? It is built in Montgomery, Alabama. Yep.
Alabama. Well, I think this is one of these, it may be on this list by lack of other options. People are thinking like, oh, what about the Ford Maverick? Well, it's built in Mexico.
Built in Mexico, yeah.
The Jeep Gladiator is what? Is that in Canada?
That's a great question.
What about the Toyota Tacoma? That was built. Toyota has a Texas plant.
Toyota I believe the Tacoma is built in Baja California, Mexico. But I'll do some live research for us.
Yeah, Matt's gonna do some live research. But yeah, I think the two small pickup trucks that come to mind, Maverick, Santa Cruz. It does say we're discounting the longer Jeep Gladiator, so I guess maybe the Gladiator is too long to be considered a small pickup.
So the Gladiator is, and we should have known this. It's built in Toledo, Ohio, which is where they do the Wrangler.
Okay.
The Tacoma is built in Mexico.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So the Maverick, Ford, American company, not built in America. The Santa Cruz, built right here.
Yeah. And the Santa Cruz is really good. I think the Maverick, it's more appealing to folks who want a truck that looks like a truck, but don't want a truck that is the size of a truck. The Santa Cruz is a lot more like lifestyle designed. You know, it's got it. I mean, it's an open face Toyota or a Hyundai Tucson.
It's a Tucson with the back.
It's a Tucson with the back cut off with a little extra length back there. It's not a big bed.
Yeah.
I was saying it's a good gardening car. You can take it to the garden center or Home Depot. It's the perfect height to throw those bags of mulch or topsoil in. You're not going to do like heavy projects with this vehicle, but it drives really well because again,
it's like you're driving a car
Tucson.
with a bed.
Yeah, it's comfortable and like well priced.
Yeah.
Price is starting, I think, under 29 or 30K. And built right down there in Montgomery, Alabama.
Yeah, and I don't even know if Hyundai calls it a truck. I mean, they call it a sport adventure vehicle.
Yeah,
you know,
honestly.
The SAV.
Yeah, well, if it looks like a duck and it swims around and lays eggs.
Well, same thing with the Carnival and it's not a minivan.
Yeah.
Maybe this is like it's not an SAV. It's a pickup truck.
It's a pickup truck.
Yeah, really nice. Let's go right into the other pickup truck on the list. We're ending our American-made list with a truly American company, built in America, the Ford F-150
Lightning.
Yeah.
Well,
it's funny. We've got the photo of the Lightning on
the
here.
photos of the Lightning.
The F-150 built in Dearborn, Michigan and Claycomo, Missouri. I'll double check. I'm pretty confident the Lightning is also built in the United States.
Well,
maybe change that photo.
Not sure about that. Matt's checking. The Tundra
also
and the
Dearborn.
Cybertruck, as we just spoke about, also both built in America. Those are built in Texas.
Yep.
I mean, you have some choices.
F-150 is
It's
hardly
the truck.
needs any introduction. You know, when you think of pickup truck, you're probably thinking about the F-150.
Yeah, fantastic. Huge range. I like that the article points out huge range of models. Basically, sort of for most budgets, all full-size pickup trucks are getting expensive in their starting price. But once you start there, kind of no matter what you want to use this truck for, there is an engine and a trim and a configuration suited for exactly what you need. So it's like infinitely customizable. I love that about the Ford. And it's the gold standard of trucks. It has been for 40 some years. It's the best-selling thing with wheels in America forever. They do it right.
Well, do you want to?
We actually
What are you squeaking about over there?
So Ford historically reports their sales figures
That's
for
right.
the F-Series, right?
Yes, they lump them all together.
Yes. I mean, it's a huge percentage of F-Series sales, and I believe on its own for a very long time the F-150 was still the best-selling individual vehicle, but it was in 2024 the RAV4, the Toyota RAV4 outsold the F-150.
Interesting.
First time. We talked about it on our All About Toyota episode.
Dave was on vacation.
Yeah,
I didn't listen.
Yeah.
That's okay.
I wasn't working.
It's a good
If
one.
I'm not on it, I don't listen to it.
It's a good one. If you care about
Just like
Toyota
my
and their new products coming up, check out that episode. But after you finish this one,
Yeah. But anyway, F-150, you can't go wrong.
no, you can't.
And it's made in America.
And when will they finish this one?
When will they finish this one?
Yeah.
Well, near the 4th of July.
But I think
Is that what you meant?
I think we've run through the categories.
Oh.
What else do you want to talk about?
No, I think we've hit the categories. I think this is a really interesting frame on the American-made question because I didn't count the people here or the cars here, but I think the majority of the cars on this list are not American brands.
Yeah.
But obviously, by nature of being on this list, they're built here. So interesting what it means to be made in America.
Yeah, and I'd love to give a quick shout out to our researcher and the writer for this article, Chris Wardlaw. He's been contributing to CarGurus for over a decade.
Yep.
Terrific reviewer. Most of these vehicles we're going to have test drive reviews available on the site, and many of them will have been tested and reviewed by Chris Wardlaw. So thank you, Chris. We couldn't have done this episode without him.
Total pro. Any last ones that come to mind that we didn't mention, that we didn't have on the list?
I want to hear that from the audience.
Oh, good call.
Right?
Yeah.
I also want to know from the audience, how big a factor does any of this play in your consideration?
Sure.
Do you care? Is it one of these like, sure, it's nice, but it's not how I'm choosing my vehicle? That's what I'd love to know. Is this a priority? And, are tariffs affecting that? This used to be something people probably paid very little attention to. But in light of tariffs becoming this thing in 2025, is that changing how you're choosing your next vehicle? Love to know.
Really interesting question. Let us know down in the comments on YouTube. You know how to leave a comment. You can also leave comments on Spotify. So wherever you are, you can probably leave us a comment. So let us know what you think. Let us know if you agree, disagree. And like Dave said, does it matter to you? Really nice. Hey, everybody. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Happy holidays. Happy 4th of July.
Happy 4th of July.
And as Matt plays us out, thank you very much. We will see you next week. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Bye, folks.